The knowledge of humankind has expanded as we are unraveling many things about this world and this universe. And space programs like NASA and SpaceX are working hard to help us in that process. But they definitely have some differences, and in this video, we will be talking about what things exactly are differentiating these two space exploration organizations, their reliability, and what their future holds. We've only mapped 5% of the world's seafloor in any detail, making 95% of the Earth unexplored. And when it comes to space, the number shallows further. To date, scientists have explored about 4% of the visible universe. NASA and SpaceX are the establishments that are set to increase that number, but with some differences in their missions, objectives, and operations. Let's have an elaborative look. Some history. NASA. 62 years ago, on July 29, 1958, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the National Aeronautics and Space Act into law, which paved the way for the opening of NASA's doors just a few months later. It was created because the Americans wanted a dedicated space agency that would put them at the forefront of space exploration. So, NASA is a taxpayer-funded U.S. government agency with more than a dozen locations around the country. It is world-renowned for its ambitious missions into space, but it does a huge amount of work researching and developing new planes to be flown here on Earth too. So, what is the mission of NASA exactly? Well, its statement is, as explorers, pioneers, and innovators, we boldly expand frontiers in air and space to inspire and serve America and to benefit the quality of life on Earth. SpaceX. We know how fascinated Elon Musk is with his Mars colonization idea. And if you're not aware of this fascination of this, then try to tap on the video link on the top right corner of your screen to know more about it. Elon Musk thinks humans need to establish a permanent and self-sustaining presence on Mars to ensure the continuance of consciousness as we know it, because the resources on Earth are declining day by day with the increase in population. So, from this idea of taking people to Mars, Elon Musk started his dream project SpaceX less than 2 decades ago, in 2002. So yes, you can say that is exactly the mission of SpaceX. The SpaceX site also says that SpaceX is working on the next generation of fully reusable launch vehicles that will be the most powerful ever built, capable of carrying humans to Mars and other destinations in the solar system. What do they do exactly? NASA. As a taxpayer-funded U.S. government agency, it reports to the executive branch and the president appoints its administrator. To this day, NASA remains one of the world's leading organizations when it comes to space exploration, and it continues to invest millions of dollars in researching and developing new aircraft and exploring the world beyond our atmosphere. For much of the public, the most visible of these programs is the International Space Station, a permanently crewed, multinational space laboratory in low Earth orbit. It is approximately 250 miles above Earth, and of course, the moon landing, Apollo 11 mission. They also launch satellites to help scientists learn more about the universe. One of NASA's goals at the moment is to develop aircraft that can burn less fuel, cause less pollution, and make less noise than the current planes in our skies. NASA is also working to send astronauts to the Moon and Mars through its Artemis program. As a government-controlled entity, they have much more stability and funding to research without much complexity. SpaceX. SpaceX is the Hawthorne, California-based private company under the direction of one person, Elon Musk. If you search about SpaceX, results will say that it is an American aerospace manufacturer and space transportation services company. It is the company that made us usher in the era of commercial spaceflight. It was the first private company to successfully launch and return a spacecraft from Earth orbit, and the first to launch a crewed spacecraft and dock it with the International Space Station. Currently, SpaceX builds and launches 2 rockets, the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy. SpaceX also builds and flies Dragon, a space capsule that can carry crew and cargo to the International Space Station. The company eventually plans to fly private astronauts on Dragon. SpaceX is working on a large rocket and spacecraft system called Starship that will be able to carry massive payloads to space. Starship may even ferry people to Mars for permanent habitation. The company is also working on providing internet into the rural areas with its Starlink program. It is a satellite-based internet providing system, and for this, SpaceX is deploying a massive constellation of small satellites in its current Falcon 1 spaceships. Starlink and SpaceX are the steps of Elon Musk to achieve his ultimate dream of people living on Mars. So as NASA and SpaceX both are space exploration organizations, so many are raising a question. Is there any competition? To answer this question simply, no. They actually don't compete. SpaceX is a for-profit company, whereas NASA is a taxpayer-funded entity, free to pursue scientific discoveries that are not directly linked to financial gain. But how did that question come up exactly? The answer is NASA's Artemis program, which is a moon mission. So for that, crew capsules and rockets would be needed, and NASA started working on that and came up with Orion and Space Launch System, or SLS, and are too expensive. Meanwhile, SpaceX has grown from a small startup into a legitimate competitor of traditional aerospace companies, with 114 rocket launches since 2010. Orion and SLS are currently the best vehicles to get humans back to the moon, but SpaceX thinks they are outmatched by vehicles like Starship. So from there, people assumed that these two most important space organizations now are in an untold rivalry. But actually, it is the opposite. SpaceX and NASA rely on each other. SpaceX's reliability on NASA. In 2006, NASA began investing in private space companies with the hope that they could one day provide cargo and crew transportation to the International Space Station. SpaceX, with less than 5 years of experience, was one of the first companies to receive money from NASA. NASA paid for roughly half the cost to develop SpaceX's workhorse Falcon 9 rocket. In 2008, SpaceX received a multi-billion-dollar contract to fly cargo to the ISS. The company was on the verge of bankruptcy and would likely have run out of money without NASA. So this company, which is worth more than $70 billion now, has much to thank NASA for its success. NASA's reliability on SpaceX. NASA did not have a replacement ready when the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. So NASA came up with a question. What if NASA paid companies to build their own vehicles and then bought flights on those vehicles? In 2008, the agency signed contracts with SpaceX and Orbital Sciences Corporation, now Northrop Grumman, to build and fly their own cargo vehicles to the ISS. SpaceX's Dragon spacecraft made the first commercial berthing with the ISS. In 2020, SpaceX became the first private company to send NASA astronauts to the ISS. So what about the future? NASA and SpaceX both are doing their best to achieve their mission, and even though they have pretty large differences in their ultimate goals, the road to reach that goal is almost similar, and hence they are working together to achieve them. Both of their goals are humankind future-related, and we can hope that they can achieve their missions because ultimately both of them are working for our future, don't you think? If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up to show your support. And for more videos like this, hit that subscribe button.